The Senior Resource Center in Freeport wants to get senior citizens up and moving.
During a presentation Wednesday on how seniors can stay active and healthy, experts explained what classes and programs are available. Those include water aerobics and indoor tennis. Coordinators say senior citizens can access Medicare benefits and discounts to pay for these various events.
So that means for those that are 65 and older that have a certain Medicare supplement plan, they may qualify for a free or discounted membership. And we are one of the facilities. There's a lot of facilities in the area, and it's a nationwide program.